welcome to SuperStree, Women in the Startup Ecosystem, the show that talks about the journey, challenges, and path ahead for women in the startup ecosystem. We put light to make women realize that no less than the sky is the limit for them in this emerging world of startups. I'm your host, Cheshta Jain. SuperStree, Women in the Startup Ecosystem is a podcast series by Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. DPIIT is a central government department under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry in India. Startup India is a flagship initiative under DPIIT intended to build a strong ecosystem by nurturing innovation and startups to promote sustainable economic growth and generate large-scale employment opportunities. In today's episode, we have with us a successful entrepreneur who is working to create more successful entrepreneurs in the ecosystem of startups. She did her graduation in Computer Science and Engineering from IIT Bombay and MBA from Leland Stanford Junior University, has had around 4 years of work experience in the corporate world, and now taken the charge to support entrepreneurs by beginning her own startup, Tracxn. Please welcome Ms. Neha Singh. Hi Neha, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks a lot for having me. Excited to be here.
Thank you. So Neha, in 2016, you were profiled as an outstanding woman by Outlook Business, were among the 40 who matter in the startup ecosystem list by Mint, have also been recognized as part of the 40 under 40 list by Fortune India in 2018 and 19, and also among the list of the most powerful women as part of the Rising Stars category by Business Today in 2019. Oh my God, have I missed out on something?
No, thanks so much for the gracious sort of introduction. I think that it's good to get some of these recognition. It makes you pause and then look back that you're doing some decent good work.
Okay. How have you managed to add these steps in your ladder of success? Have these laurels ever weighed pressure on you to keep on delivering?
So I think it's great, to have these kind of platforms which recognize people in our ecosystem, which is in the startup ecosystem, or people in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. Having said that, whenever you get this, I think it's a good time for you to pause and then look back that that you've done some good work. But having said that, I think these are just one step in your whole journey. So you're always thinking about the longer term journey, and that is why you are always thinking that okay, these are some sort of steps towards the longer term journey. For instance, when you get a rank in your class, you're always thinking, okay, you get a rank in the class, and the next is your rank in the school, next is rank in the state, and is national rank. So you're always gunning for I think the next step.
Right. All right. So besides these few highs of recognition, what keeps you going during the low phases of the tough startup journey we know entrepreneurs have to endure?
So I would say that yes, entrepreneurship is a very tough journey, and it's not as structured as say doing a job wherein you have to do this as the next step. I think in entrepreneurship you have to define what is the next goal that you have, and there's definitely ups and downs in the whole journey. So I think one of the things which keeps you motivated is the longer term vision, that you are able to withstand any lows or highs that you get along the way, because you're working towards a longer term vision. I think that is what probably keeps a lot of us sort of motivated and focused.
So Neha, Tracxn has recently gone public. How do you think has the response been, also considering it is one of the few women-led startups that has gone IPO?
No, we are incredibly excited about going public. This is something that we had dreamed of when we were starting our journey nearly 9 years back, and we are very excited to have gone public in the first 10 years of the company's history. We had always thought that going public actually provides you a great platform to continue to build this company for the next 2 decades. Right. And we had started working towards an IPO when we had turned cash flow positive, which was nearly 2 years back. And we thought that Indian public markets like profitable story, like stories of sort of increasing bottom line. And we thought that you can create a large company in this space, a large data company out of India in this space. And that is when we started the process. And it took us a year based on, you have to file a DRHP, there's an approval. And we are very excited to have gone listed.
Wonderful. So now let's get to the very beginning of your journey. When did you actually decide to quit your job and start something on your own? And when did the idea of starting a platform like Tracxn, which brings investors and entrepreneurs together, come to your mind?
So a brief background about myself. I'm born and brought up in Bombay. I grew up in a very academic environment, I would say. So doing a business was never the way of life.
Right.
If you look at, I grew up in BRC colony, wherein a lot of the people are actually scientists. My dad was a scientist. My brother was also from IIT Bombay. My sister was a computer engineer. So it comes from a very academic heavy background, and doing business was not that the thing. For me, I think it happened when you saw a problem which was large, which was a very large problem which you thought that needs to be solved.
Right.
So when I was an investor in Sequoia Capital and investing in the private markets, you realize that if you look at the public markets, it has created multiple large companies which exist for public market investors. And private markets are also going to become important. Private market investors also need platforms like these which exist in the public market.
Right.
And that was the reason why it sort of made you quit the job, I would say. So as private market investors, when I was doing my job, I realized that a lot of these problems can actually be solved by technology. And initially it started off with you building small things to make your job efficient. And then I realized that, that has to be, like a lot of the thousands of investors, thousands of people who are looking at private markets are actually reinventing the wheel. And that is why you thought that, there has to be sort of a global platform that existed. So that is when I just left the job and started working on Tracxn, which was in 2012. And then I got into Stanford. And so US was the first market that we started off with. Not a lot of people actually know that people think India was the first market that we started off, but actually US is the first market that we started off with. And all our initial customers were in the 10-mile vicinity. And 2013 is when we officially launched the company.
Okay.
And the vision is the same, and the reason for starting is the same, which is this was a large enough problem that you thought that there has to be a platform that exists in that space, and can you build a global platform in that space.
So now it's been more than 9 years, as you just said, to your startup. Which years, according to you, were the boom years or the most successful years, considering an increase in the number of startups as well as investors in the market?
Right. So if you look at the whole private market, I think it has also evolved a lot since we started off with.
Right.
So interesting fact is that when we were starting in 2013, the term unicorn actually did not exist.
Exactly.
And the number of companies that got added to the unicorn club were just about 1 or 2 in the whole year. And last year that number was nearly 500. So, this whole private market has also evolved a lot in the last decade since we, started.
Right.
And just like I think the other asset classes, it has also seen a lot of cycles. So there have been, some cycles wherein the number of startups getting founded, the funding has increased, and there have been some cycles where, it is a little bit slow. But I would say one thing which has definitely changed is the number of people that are considering startup as an opportunity to start their career with, that has increased a lot.
Right.
Like when my brother graduated, which was probably in 1999, startup does not exist. Exactly. When I was graduating in 2008, there were 1 or 2 startups which existed, but no one would actually think about starting their career, in a startup.
Exactly.
Right now, I think it has completely changed. Right now, people are not even, graduates are not even sort of going outside. A lot of the graduates are actually directly starting their careers with that.
Right.
So I think one thing which is just the number of people which is entering into this, into the ecosystem, the quality of talent, that has magnified. Right? And the second thing is that even if you look at sort of the funding, that has increased a lot in terms of the quality of companies which are there. So there are definitely cycles which happen, but on the whole, if you look at it, it's sort of a linear trend which is there.
Nice. So what factors in your journey have you observed to be barriers in promoting women-led startups, and what will be your top 3 advices to women entrepreneurs?
So interestingly, I've seen that thankfully, a lot of the external conditions, external ecosystem is fairly conducive towards if women wants to start a company, right? Be it how the investors are, or or also when you're talking to customers. I think there's a lot of sort of acceptance and encouragement that I would say from different different other ecosystem that sort of interact with you as you are having your journey as a founder. Having said that, there are a few things that I would definitely want to sort of give as tips to people who are sort of starting. One is make sure that the external conditions are fairly conducive, and I think one of the reasons why I've seen a lot of women probably do very well early on in their academic career, academic journeys, but not be able to devote so much time in their careers is because of I think just the support infrastructure. So one of the things is that just set up a good support infrastructure that goes a long way in you to be able to do what you want to do in your career, right? I think that is one thing. The second thing, which it sounds very trivial, but just invest in fitness. I've seen a lot of my friends who have consistently continued to do well, throughout, are also people who are very mindful about their fitness. So though it seems a very trivial thing, I think it's just good to sort of reiterate that,
right? To be fit and healthy, that encourages you.
Exactly, and you are able to do well in the different aspects if you are having some sort of budget mentally, for devoting into fitness. And I think third is just like dream big. You would be surprised at what you are able to achieve by just dreaming big and taking baby steps towards that.
Great, awesome. So Tracxn uses artificial intelligence to track startups and other companies. So is there any particular sector that you've observed where women-led startups and women entrepreneurs are more concentrated? And is there any other sector where you feel there's a lack of women and women-led startups?
Right, yeah. So I think there's a linear trend of number of women entrepreneurs that you are able to see are increasing, but it's still a very low number. So we would love to sort of see, more and more sort of women entrepreneurs come into this space, as well as women leaders across different companies. So I think that's a number that you would love to sort of see sort of increase. Having said that, in terms of, the overall one, there are a few sectors which have probably seen, sort of good women entrepreneurs. For instance, D2C brands, that's one sector that you've seen a lot of females do very good in that. Examples being Sugar or Mama Earth, are just some examples doing extremely well.
Right.
So this is one area, that has probably seen a lot of
fashion, basically,
and brands,
fashion,
right?
And brands,
the direct-to-consumer brands, especially in the lifestyle space, in the fashion space. That is one area where you've seen, a lot of active participation from women entrepreneurs, right? In the other segments, I think it's various degrees. For instance, I would love to see sort of more women in global SaaS, which I think is a theme where a lot of large companies will be created out of India. Right. You are having sort of a lot of interesting companies and founders who are doing work in that space, but this is a number that can increase. Right. And even some of the other ones, like your core sectors, wherein you if you go to say logistics or some of the other core sectors, you probably see lesser. But I guess it's just a matter of time. You are seeing more women sort of become starting companies in that space as well.
Quick rapid fire questions for you, Neha. Best quote?
I like the quote by Jeff Bezos, which is a regret minimization framework, which is very handy in deciding big decisions in your life.
Favorite influencer?
It may sound very cliched, but my mom. I think she raises the bar in both career as well as fitness. She does like more than 10,000 steps every day.
Great. Favorite food?
Apart from Indian, which I really love, I love sushi.
Your go-to pastime?
I love photography.
Best advice you've ever received?
Be sincere in whatever you take up, and you can not connect the dots looking forward, but you can connect it looking backward.
Neha's role model?
All the amazing women that I've worked with.
A quality that you value the most in a person?
Drive is probably the topmost quality.
How would you like to be remembered?
someone who built a large, iconic global data platform out of India.
Okay, so this brings us towards the end of the show. In the end, is there anything that you'd like to say to our budding women entrepreneurs?
So, to all the budding women entrepreneurs, one of the things that I would really like to say is dream big, and you will be surprised at what you can achieve. So, just dream big and focus on taking baby steps towards that.
Thank you so much, Neha, for sharing your remarkable journey with us. It was a pleasure to have you on SuperStree.
No, thanks for having me.
On that note, I, Cheshta Jain, would like to say goodbye. We will be back with another episode of SuperStree, Women in the Startup Ecosystem, powered by Startup India DPIIT. Till then, my ladies, keep dreaming, setting goals, and staying determined to achieve what you desire. Thank you.